to stop what you're doing and listen.
Hello and welcome to episode 58. I am MOSH, and Valentine's Day is this week. I will be your Valentine this year, okay? But not next year. 1 year only. So let's just get right into gaming because I actually have stuff to talk about this week. So first up, BioWare is basically going to overhaul and rework Anthem because they think it can still be successful, and they're just going to pour a lot of time and resources into this and hope and pray, thoughts and prayers, that the game will just come back to life. I don't know. I think it's too far gone at this point, but I will read a post that they made. It says, "Hey everyone, 1 year ago we were preparing to launch Anthem, a game that represented a big leap into new territory for us as a studio. It was an exhilarating and terrifying experience to go out to the world with something new and different, and we are grateful to all the players who have come along with us on the journey. It has been a thrill for us to see the creativity of our players in designing customized javelins and watching them master Anthem's flying and fighting gameplay. I am so proud of the work the team has put into this game, and at the same time there's so much more that we and you would have wanted from it. Over the last year, the team has worked hard to improve stability, performance, and general quality of life while delivering 3 seasons of new content and features. We have also heard your feedback that Anthem needs a more satisfying loot experience, better long-term progression, and a more fulfilling endgame. So we recognize that there's still more fundamental work to be done to bring out the full potential of the experience, and it will require a more substantial reinvention than an update or expansion. Over the coming months, we will be focusing on a longer-term redesign of the experience, specifically working to reinvent the core gameplay loop with clear goals, motivating challenges, and progression with meaningful rewards, while preserving the fun of flying and fighting in a vast science fantasy setting. And to do that properly, we will be doing something we'd like to have done more of the first time around, giving a focus team the time to test and iterate, focusing on gameplay first. In the meantime, we will continue to run the current version of Anthem, but move away from full seasons as the team works toward the future of Anthem. We'll keep the game going with events, store refreshes, and revisiting past seasonal and Cataclysm content, starting with our anniversary towards the end of the month. Creating new worlds is central to our studio mission, but it's not easy. Sometimes we get it right, sometimes we miss. What keeps us going is the support from players like you. Your feedback gives us guidance on how we can improve, and your passion inspires us with the courage to create. I look forward to working together with your involvement and feedback towards the best possible future for Anthem. Casey." If BioWare can somehow bring Anthem back to life and make it a really good game, I will give them all the respect in the world. It would be like one of the biggest comeback stories in gaming. So all I have to say is good luck, BioWare. Next up, we have the departure of Dan Houser from Rockstar Games. So if you don't know, Dan Houser is an English video game producer, writer, and voice actor, as well as the co-founder, along with his brother Sam Houser, and vice president of creativity for Rockstar Games. Despite wanting to be musicians, Dan Houser and his brother Sam had a fascination with storytelling from a young age. Growing up near a video library in London, they watched many American crime, cult films, and spaghetti westerns, which makes a lot of sense if you think about Rockstar. As well as producing video games, Houser was the head writer for Rockstar Games, and he has written or co-written almost all of the Grand Theft Auto games. Houser has been credited as a producer for 5 Grand Theft Auto games, and also works as a writer and voice artist for the series. Despite the high profile of the Grand Theft Auto series, Houser and his brother have shied away from the celebrity spotlight, preferring to focus on the Rockstar Games brand rather than giving any one person the credit for the game's success. March 11th will be his final day, and at the time of this recording, a reason for his departure has not been given. We don't know if he's retiring. We don't know if he's fed up with what's going on and wants to leave. We don't know if he wants to go join a different studio, maybe have a change of scenery. We just don't know. Because if you remember, Take-Two, the head honchos over there, want Rockstar to push out more games more frequently. And maybe that was too much for Dan, since he's a writer and also a producer on some of these games. Maybe that's just too much pressure, and it was just wearing him down. He's like, all right, I don't want to do this. I'm out. Or maybe he's just done because he's been working on Grand Theft Auto for 20 years and surely the story of GTA 6 is done. He's probably already done his part in that and is like, you know what? I'm going to do something else. I gave 20 years of my life to this series. I'm done. But we have to wait for an official announcement as to why he left. Anyway, some of his credits. So he's a writer and a producer. He's more of a writer than a producer, but he has produced some of the games. He was a producer on Grand Theft Auto London 1969, Grand Theft Auto 3, Smuggler's Run, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories, Red Dead Redemption, LA Noire, Max Payne 3, and Red Dead Redemption 2. And then he was a writer on Grand Theft Auto 2, Grand Theft Auto 3, Smuggler's Run 2, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories, Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories, Bully, Grand Theft Auto 4, Midnight Club Los Angeles, the DLCs of Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare, Max Payne 3, Grand Theft Auto 5, Red Dead Redemption 2. So yeah, he's kind of played a pretty big part in some of Rockstar's biggest, most successful games. This is kind of a big deal. So what does this mean for the future of Rockstar? Like, is this bad? Is this good? A lot of people are saying Rockstar kind of needs to change their formula up a bit. Because with their last few games, you know, you have like the auto aim, which is, it makes the games a lot easier than they should be. The movement's kind of sluggish as far as the gameplay goes. Like, the stories are fine. But maybe him leaving will lead to a change in how Rockstar approaches their games and the gameplay and all that stuff. So it could be a good thing. But you gotta also remember Take-Two pressuring them into releasing games sooner, which means the games then get rushed, which means the quality isn't as great. So on one hand, it could be a positive that it could lead the studio into a different direction. But on the other hand, you have Take-Two pressuring them into releasing games sooner. So I feel like they kind of cancel each other out. I also think that this pretty much means Red Dead Redemption 3 is done. It's not going to happen because I feel like that was a passion project of his because it said he likes spaghetti westerns and he was a producer and writer on Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2. So he had a big hand in the creation of those games, in the direction of them. So if he's gone, that means if there's another Red Dead game, another producer and writer comes in, and why would they want to continue the story of characters that already exist? Like, most people want to see what happens with Jack. Well, that's probably never going to happen. Because I look at it like this. Think of American football. When a head coach gets fired, most of the other coaches get let go as well. Because when the new head coach comes in, he wants all of his guys. He wants his own crew to come in. He doesn't want to deal with what happened prior. He has his own vision for the team and his own people that can help him achieve that vision, so they bring their own guys in. If the next Red Dead game has a new producer and writer, they're going to want to have their own characters with their own story. They're not necessarily going to want to continue what someone else created, but instead create something that they can call their own. So, in my head, the Red Dead Redemption games are done. As far as we know them right now, these current characters. I'm not saying there's not going to be another Red Dead game, because there probably will. Well, I shouldn't say probably, but there's a good chance that there will be. The Red Dead games sell really well. Rockstar makes their money off them. It's not like Red Dead's some thorn in their side. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, only time will tell how this will affect Rockstar. Again, GTA 6 is probably mostly done at this point, as far as like the writing and story and all that goes. And maybe that is his last send-off. Maybe GTA 6 is the greatest game of all time, and he's like, you know what? I'm just going to go out on top. I don't know if he's retiring, though. Like, I mean, he could. As the co-founder of Rockstar, I'm sure his bank account's looking nice. The dude doesn't need money. So he could retire. Maybe he's just done. I don't know. But it's something to keep an eye on when Rockstar releases their new game in about 9 years. Oh, and just real quick before I move on to the next thing, it was reported that Sony purchased Insomniac Games for $229 million. Mostly in cash. Can you imagine rolling up with $229 million in cash? It's pretty cash money of them. But no, that's a pretty good deal. 229. I mean, EA bought Respawn for over $400 million. Which Respawn's a great studio, not bashing it, but they got Insomniac for half the price. Anyway, moving on to Activision. So they had a investor call the other day. They confirmed that there's going to be a new Call of Duty this year, which, duh. They did not, however, say who is making it. Every single year during this investor call, they will announce the studio that is making Call of Duty for that year. And this is the first year they have not done that. Now with the whole Sledgehammer and Raven Software debacle, we heard that the game was being put into Treyarch's hands, but Activision would not confirm that. So I just thought that was a little interesting. But everyone's pretty sure it's Treyarch. Anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up is because during this call, they said that they are going to be working on multiple remastered and reimagined titles that will be revealed this year. Now you're probably thinking, well, what games does Activision have? They have Call of Duty, which, there's always the Modern Warfare 2 remaster, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, which I would love all of those to come back. So that could be a thing. They have Crash Bandicoot, which we already got the Insane Trilogy, which was the first 3 games redone, and now Crash Team Racing, so you have 4 Crash games back. Then you have Spyro with the Reignited Trilogy, the first 3 games back. I guess they could do more from Crash and Spyro, but the main games I feel have already been done, and people would prefer new games in those franchises. So what does that leave? I got 2 words. Tony Hawk. The Tony Hawk games, man. I love most of them. I didn't care for Proving Grounds. I never played 5, thankfully. But everything before Proving Grounds, I'm cool with. You could remake any of those, and I'm in. So Tony Hawk remasters, maybe. And then it also says reimagined. What if it's a new Tony Hawk game that's similar to Skate? What if Activision's looking at EA and is like, well, you guys ain't doing anything with that, so let's do it ourselves. Let's go take that money. All the people that are waiting for Skate, let's bring them on over to our side and take their money. I'm in. If there's a new Tony Hawk game that's like Skate, I am so in. Now, there's really nothing much to back this up. I mean, Tony Hawk did say he was working on a new game. That's pretty much it. This is mostly just my optimism getting the best of me and getting my hopes up in something that might never happen, so then I'll just become a sad person. I want to believe. But continuing on with Activision, we have Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Brand new season is starting February 11th. We got new maps, Rust. Yes, Modern Warfare 2's Rust is back. And it is a normal multiplayer map and a gunfight map. The other new map is Atlas Superstore. So yeah, you can fight in a grocery store. A new ground war map called Zokov Boneyard. New gunfight map, Bazaar. And new multiplayer modes, gunfight tournaments, and a CDL playlist. New operator, Ghost. Ghost is back. New weapons, the Graw 556 and Striker 45. The Striker 45 kind of looks like the UMP 45. And that's all happening on day 1. And then there's other stuff coming during the season, which will be another multiplayer map called Candor Hideout, and 2 other operators, Talon and Mace, along with more multiplayer modes, Infected Ground War, NVG Reinforce, more gunfight variants, and Demolition, as well as another new weapon that is currently classified. And then, of course, with the Battle Pass, you get more operator skins, weapon blueprints, probably a bunch of emblems and stuff that you never care about. So, the usual. Still no mention of the Battle Royale mode. They said early this year. Well, they didn't. Leakers said early this year, but so far nothing. No mention of Prop Hunt either. What's up with that? Let's get some Prop Hunt going. You know what would be interesting? Battle Royale, Prop Hunt. Just think about it. Let's talk about Nintendo, because I don't talk about Nintendo much. They have said that the coronavirus is delaying the production of the Switch. Nintendo has informed consumers in its home market of Japan that production and shipments of the Switch console and accessories will experience delays due to the effect of the new coronavirus. The Animal Crossing themed variant of the Switch, which was only announced last week, has had its pre-order availability pushed back from Saturday to an unspecified date. The company apologizes for the trouble and says it will keep on monitoring the situation. It's not clear whether the delays will affect shipments elsewhere. Nintendo specifically references hardware produced in China and sold in Japan, but last year the company started diversifying its supply chain and building some units in Southeast Asia, specifically for the US market to avoid US tariffs. Most Switch consoles are said to be built by Foxconn, which is keeping its Chinese factories shuttered for at least another week. So it specifically mentions Japan and not other parts of the world, but if the coronavirus really gets going, it could absolutely affect other parts of the world. And not just Nintendo, but Sony and Microsoft as well. Maybe that's why they haven't revealed things, at least PS5 wise, and maybe why Microsoft hasn't given a official release date, or at least why they haven't put pre-orders up. Because if they give a release date and then this virus just like takes over the world, then that release date is suddenly not a thing anymore. It's going to have to be delayed. So they probably don't want to announce things right now and be like, you know what? We're going to have to delay it until 2021. So this could affect the next gen consoles. It might not. It's just something to keep an eye on. Alright, let's move on to music. So I was talking about Loathe and how they released their new album last week. And I listened to it. And it's pretty good. It's called I Let It In. And it took everything. And one of the things I love about this is all of the songs transition perfectly into the next one. Except for a couple. I can't remember which two. But there are a couple that don't transition quite as well. But the rest, it's so smooth. And I love it. I love when bands do this. Because it makes it feel like one big experience. The best way to listen to this album is from start to finish. It just is. So if you ever get a chance to listen to it without ads breaking up songs or on YouTube going from one video to the next, if you can listen to it from start to finish with no ads or anything interrupting it, do it. That is how this album is supposed to be heard. And of course, there's some interludes, which I don't really care for. I'm not doing a full review on this because I'm not really familiar with the band. I have not listened to their previous stuff, and I don't know how much previous music they even have. I don't even know how long they've been around for. I only like reviewing bands that I'm familiar with, that I know the history of. I know if it's a sound change or if it's different, if they've experimented. I don't know what it is with this band. I don't know if this is a sound change or if this is what they've always done. So that is why there will not be a review for this. So they do have their heavy elements and they do have their kind of softer elements. They do kind of have that Deftones inspiration on some of the songs, which is great. Gourd is one of the heavier songs on it, and then the very next song is called Heavy is the Head That Falls with the Weight of 1,000 Thoughts. And this song starts off like a black metal song, and then it transitions into like a hardcore song, and it ends with acoustic guitar. It's really interesting, but it's really good. So for this year, I'm going to be a little bit more strict with the scores that I give albums. I think I was a little too nice last year. So with me changing the scoring up a little bit, I would give this album a solid 8 out of 10. And again, my scores can always go up. They never go down. And I never include interludes in my scoring. Like they don't knock down points or anything. So yeah, it's a really good album. Maybe not the sleeper hit of the year, but definitely not an album to sleep on. I'll put a link to it in the description. And then Avenged Sevenfold re-released their Diamonds in the Rough album from 2008, which is like extra songs, bonus tracks, all that stuff. And it's also really good. I haven't listened to that album in a long time, so hearing it again was really nice. It was fresh. The songs almost sounded new again. And it's a nice way to hold the fans over until the real new album comes out, which might be during the summer because they did like a pizza party last year with fans and the guitarist said summer 2020. So I feel like a member of the band's a pretty good source. So yeah, I'll put a link to that in the description as well. And not a lot of Avenged Sevenfold fans have even heard this, so it could be brand new songs to you, even though they're not brand new songs. Then we have Lamb of God, who did release a new song called Checkmate on Thursday, February 6th. And it's good. I mean, it sounds like Lamb of God. If you know Lamb of God, then it sounds like Lamb of God. I think the new drummer did well. I mean, you can tell that there's a slight change in the sound now that Chris Adler is not there anymore. But just a few days after that song came out, there was a tour announcement. It's going to be Megadeth, Lamb of God, Trivium, and In Flames, touring North America this summer. Long tour, great bands, gonna be a great tour, so maybe check it out. We also have new music from Static X. So Wayne Static died back in 2014, and Static X was just kind of, put off to the side. Anyway, they are back because they have old recordings from Wayne, and the rest of the original members of the band decided to work on it and release a new album. It's called Project Regeneration. The first song has been released. It's called Hollow. So they have played some shows since then, and they have a new guy called Zero, who kind of is supposed to look like Wayne with his hair spiked up, but he's wearing a mask. Now we know who it is. The band is trying their best to hide this person's identity, but we know who it is. It's Edsel Dope from Dope. Like, there's no question. We know it's him because of his voice. It's like the dead giveaway. I mean, when you just hear him talk, it's very obvious. And if that wasn't enough, he's trying to hide his tattoos, and in one photo you can see one of his tattoos, and it matches up perfectly. So it's Edsel Dope. But he's done a really good job. Like, if you watch any of the recent performances with him on vocals, he's done pretty good. And also respect, because he was pulling double duty, because his band Dope was opening for Static X on that tour. So he's performing with his own band, then he has to get off stage, get ready, and then go out again and perform with Static X. Let's go ahead and move on to the weekly pick of the week. So I couldn't really think of anything this week, and then I saw a video from Slipknot performing a very, very small show for a very, very small audience. I think they said it's only like 120 people. They were doing a thing for the BBC Radio 1. It wasn't like a full-blown show, but just this small, like, intimate setting with a lot of lucky fans. And this is like the smallest show you will ever see them play. You will never see them on a stage that small or playing a show this small. Back in the day you would, when they were starting out. You know, they were obviously playing to smaller crowds. And then there were times where they were on the late night shows as the musical guest, and they're on this really small stage. But other than that, you will not see them play small shows like this. I'm not even sure what the reasoning behind this was, but they just did it. So anyway, I'll link a video if you want to watch it. 2 videos are up. I don't know if other songs are going up or not, but there's at least 2 that are up right now. Corey sounds a little rough at some parts, but I'll give him a pass, okay? Alright, weird story of the week. A man has set a new world record for the length of time spent sitting in a barrel at the top of a pole. And it is exactly what you think it is. Imagine a pole, like a telephone pole, and there's a barrel on the tippy top of it. Vernon Kruger is currently 80 feet in the air in a barrel where he has been for about 2 months, breaking his own record, which he set in 1997. He said, "I've forgotten why I'm up here. I had some good reasons, but I've forgotten them since I've been here. I have broken my own record now. 22 years ago I broke it. It was a British record of 54 days. I took it to 67 days, and this time I'm going to try to push it to about 80. He said it was not too lonely. This time we have social media, so I feel more connected. I talk to people below, so it's not so isolated. He says he does exercises every morning with a trainer below on the ground. He also said, I can just curl up in a fetal position, so I do wake up with aches and pains. It's amazing how the body adapts. The first week was the worst, but after that, I got into a routine. I actually sleep these days. Not like I would in a bed, but I do get a few hours of sleep at night. The barrel is small, but one of the requirements is that it has to be a certain size, so I am limited in the space. Answering the question on everyone's mind about how he manages bodily functions, he said, everything comes up by bucket, and I have the ground crew below. Restaurants are providing me with food, so I have different food. It all comes up by bucket and down again. My bedding too. So they're basically hoisting food and drinks up to him, and then he hoists back down pee and poo. So shout out to the ground crew. I hope they're getting paid. He said it is quite high and he had to go up by helicopter and will probably go back down the same way. The barrel also apparently has scorch marks from lightning. He was asked what advice he would pass on to anyone thinking of taking on his record, and he said, I think people must be mentally prepared. Previous time I was much younger and it was more of a physical problem, but this time it's more of a mental challenge. Don't worry, Vernon, no one is thinking of taking on your record of sitting in a barrel 80 feet above the ground on top of a pole. Once you are up, you can't go down and you are not allowed visitors. He admitted earlier in the challenge was anticlimactic because his wife and children decided to stay at home on the other side of South Africa. Wow, do you really blame them? He said his wife was not very supportive this time. Organizer Fiona Jones said Vernon is not coming down when he breaks his record. He's going to stay a little longer. We're concerned because we've got to get him down. That's it. You know what? Just stay up there forever, Vernon. Okay? This is your life now. Just accept it. Anyway, that's going to do it for me this week. Thank you for listening. You can listen on all the other platforms as well. Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn. Links in the description for those. Follow me on Twitter, Twitch, and join the Discord server. Links in the description as well. I'm out of here. I will talk to you next week. Later.